Hi, welcome to the Mohua Show. My name is Mohua Chinappa and I am an author, entrepreneur and ex-housewife. This podcast is about everything from business to technology to arts to lifestyle, but done and spoken ईमानदारी से. Hi, in today's episode, we have with us Partho Sengupta, a renowned contemporary artist. Partho has a unique approach to art. He has captured the hearts of art enthusiasts across the country. So we'll be discussing his journey as an artist, his recent exhibitions, and his upcoming projects. So just to begin the podcast, the first question that I want to ask you, Partho, is that when was that eureka moment when you decided to become a full-time artist? And didn't your parents, siblings, or girlfriends tell you, come on, Partho, that's just a hobby? It can't be your profession.
Girlfriends, I love that word, girlfriends. Yeah, they were girlfriends, and they were dad, mom. Dad was an engineer, and he, I think, had some issues. Everybody was surprised when a son of an engineer wanting to be an artist. Yes, of course. But then I guess I didn't have much of an option because those days nothing was there besides engineer, doctors, and whatever. So yes, I kind of had a touch and go with art at that point of time. And I was drawing from a very early stage. Made my first peacock when I was 4 years old. And my teacher told me it was beautiful. And I think that started me off. And eventually, after school, I decided to join the art college in Kolkata, and which was, of course, an eye opener. Having artists all around me and famous artists that too, big names who were already there kind of instigated me and kind of encouraged me to do better work. And but you know what happened? I kind of veered towards advertising because that was the first job when I was kind of in first final year of my college, and I ended up in Lintas, low Lintas, and I started my work. Then, as so happens, like advertising sucks you up big time, man. It's just a lot of work, a lot of unearthly hours that you have to keep. So the mind would be still in pure art form, but physically I would be in shoots and films and offices, late nights in studios with photographers. So it was a divided time always. But now, as I grow older, I have now the whole the euphoria of just sitting in front of a large format painting and seeing it coming alive is just beautiful. And I think that's my eureka moment when I look at my painting and say, hey, it's like really talking back. So that's a beautiful moment, and that keeps on fueling my endeavors. And as I work, I have a job, but the art is my background, it's my foreground, everything.
So it's really interesting, before I get down to asking you about your recent exhibition, do you think the life of an artist is fairly quite lonesome? It's quite a lonely journey because, it's work between you and your canvas, you and your thoughts. So do you ever go through the angst of an artist?
Oh, yes, Mohua, you're so right. Actually, what happens is you are your best admirer and you are your worst critic, I think, and that's what keeps on happening. मैं और मेरी तन्हाई और मेरा कैनवस अक्सर ये बातें करते हैं, and I think we keep on doing that with all of my work. I keep on doing that, and there are so many rejects, so much of despair, uncertainty, because not everything that you do needs to sell or find a buyer or find a home or find a wall. So first thing is how much are people liking your work. So you have to decide whether you want to be popular or you want to make a name or you want to just kind of hit the buyers, or you do something that people never understood or understand. So I think that whole in this whole kind of a confusion, I have chosen to make art popular. So my journey is not about just art for art's sake, but art with media, art with some kind of infusion, some kind of an idea, some kind of a purpose, kind of makes art more relevant to you and me. And also, it becomes a kind of a beacon showing some light in some dark corners of life. So I would like art to be that way.
What about the fact that, this entire intersection that you spoke about, about choosing that right path? Because coming down to the right path isn't an easy process at all. It's a lot of hit and miss, because as an author myself and as a writer and as a podcaster, I'm constantly weighing out, do I need to do content that would be sellable, or do I want to do something that my heart reaches out to? So when did you come into this entire understanding that you want to do art that, will be popular? And and just a basic understanding between you and your medium.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, absolutely right. Because that struggle is for you as a podcaster, as an author. The same struggle goes with me as an artist or as a creative person. Because at the end of the day, you are creating it for the man in the mirror, and also creating it for the man outside the mirror. So the outside the mirror, you don't care two hoots, most probably, because if you start taking critiques seriously, then most probably you will lose it. And we are in the world of Instagram, we are in the world of Facebook and stuff like that, where looking at art is so easy, and getting inspired, excuse my French, is like, you kind of get swayed. There's so much of art, so much of technique. Everybody is doing live art, everybody is doing Gyan talk, everybody is showing you the way to do it. There are videos which show you the process of art coming alive. Thank God, people like Raphael and the Tintoritos of the world didn't have Instagram. But imagine emulating each other, and then you only have one artist and one kind of work, and not so much of variation. Van Gogh, thankfully, didn't have Instagram, and he just followed his passion, his way of working. I'm sure he wouldn't have been, a popular person that time. And when he was doing his work, people maybe rejected him. But then he kind of stuck to his technique, his work, his style, and that's become one of the most popular thing now. Of course, he did not live to enjoy the whole all the glory and name. But at the end of the day, he is an institution. He still is an institution to so many young artists. And I think at the end of the day, you have to find what you believe in and stick to it. Because people will be swaying you out and ye karo, ye sahi nahi, and all that. I think you have to listen to your heart and do what you would want to, and what you should be known as, and what your signature is.
How phenomenal is this? Because I'm all the time inspired whenever I think about the way Van Gogh actually swallowed a whole tube of yellow paint to be happy. Let's just talk a little bit about your exhibition Unpacked. I know, and it's huge success. So can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind it and how you came up with this entire concept?
Yeah, no, to be very frank, it all started on a very dark note, because that time we were all going through the pandemic, the lockdown, the very intense lockdown during the second wave, where people were just falling, and they were passing away, and there was sorrow, there was despair, disdain, and uncertainty all over the country, all over the world, right? And my house was no different. Every day we were getting news of some friend passing away, and it was sheer despair. Didn't know what to do actually. And so people were trying to grasp various ways of making happiness happen. I had my own ways. So we as a family, we started investing in stuff. Like, for example, we would do a lot of e-commerce, because Amazon was delivering some stuff. Some Chroma would be delivering an AC, or somebody will be buying a new fridge. What used to happen is this product used to come home, but the product would be, unpacked, and we would kind of keep it ready. We will start using, but somehow the boxes would never leave home, because there was no kabadi wala taking it away. So those boxes started piling up. And I told my wife that, listen, why don't you just keep it in the studio? Because I have a studio and you can keep it here, so that it does not mess up the drawing room. And those boxes started to look at me and started to talk to me. I was like smitten. I thought the boxes were looking great, the texture looked great. So why don't I start using those boxes as an extension of my work? And that's how this inspiration journey started. And I started using those boxes extensively. And what happened is I used to go to my friends' places, sneak out boxes, because those days you were not even allowed to go to your friends' places. So I would go secretly, smuggle out these boxes from them as well, from their houses, from houses in my own, uh, RWA. So all these boxes started piling up, and I started using these boxes as an extension to art. So to every painting, every artwork in my show, Unpacked, was talking about some happening that happened during that lockdown. So it could be poetic, it could be chaotic, it could be about death, it could be about life, new babies being born, uh, a baby born and then dying. So it was complete up and down. Okay, it was never a plateau. It's just not art for art's sake. As I said, there was a purpose to it. What people loved is each artwork started talking to various people. Somebody said, yes, I know, man, I had these boxes at my home. You have done something wonderful with it. And then I got big brands like IKEA and HDFC and people like coming to me and said, listen, can we collaborate? Why can't we use our own boxes? Amazon approached me. They said, listen, can't. So it got a lot of conversations started. And I think art and me as an artist, I think it was so important to have this conversation started to make people aware that, yes, nothing goes back into the dustbin. There is a sustenance, there is an art for sustenance that we should look at. And we should look at circularity in art and sustenance. That is important for humankind, not only an artist, but everybody. I think everybody should do it.
You've experimented with various media and styles of art. Which medium do you enjoy the most and why do you enjoy that medium?
So, medium, when you say medium, I would presume that you're talking about the stuff that you use to paint, right? So,
Yes.
in fact, I have experimented with a lot of stuff. You're right. In fact, interesting question here because during that whole lockdown series that I did, Unpacked, I ran out of color, and my black, acrylic color, it dried out, and I couldn't just go across to the nearest supplier or vendor and buy it because everything was shut, right? So what I started doing is I started collecting kajal. I started painting with kajal. I started using oil, as in sarso ka oil and all that. Whatever was available, I didn't have much of a choice. Sindoor, kajal. So I started using them, punching them with my color, mixing it, and then using it to my best ability. And I think that got a huge response. People loved it. So I never have stopped myself from using anything. So I worked on PVC sheets, I worked on surfaces, walls, everything. So a lot of people said, "Arey, tumne." So, like for example, my son was doing an interesting painting on the wall. Okay, and we are in a rented premise, and everybody who has walked into my home has asked me. They have never failed to ask me, "Keith, listen, this is a rented premise. Why have you painted it here? You can never take it back, right?" I said, "So what? It gives me joy, right? It whatever he has done, it gave him immense joy, and that is something that you take in your heart, not the painting."
So amazing. My God, I'm completely drawn because, it takes me back also to this dhaba in Kolkata, called Azadind, where there's a painting of M.F. Hussain on the wall. And, that's now been covered. I'm sure he must have been through one of his moments too when he just painted on this dhaba wall. So, now the most interesting question that I can't wait to ask you is about the collaboration with Shantanu Moitro on the songs of the river. Tell me a little bit. It's so fascinating. Can you tell me a little bit more about the process of creating the paintings for this project and what does the river Ganga mean to you?
This is a story that I keep on telling my friends and my followers, everybody. I think, it all started about 4 or 5 years back when me and Shantanu had met up and we discussed a few ideas that we wanted to collaborate on. And he said, listen, I want to do this journey by the Ganga. I said, huh, so what? Everybody does these journeys. So what is so unique? Uh, it started off that triggered that whole friendship that I have. This is so precious friendship that I have with Shantanu. And he set me thinking, listen, what is Ganga to a music director and a composer? And what is Ganga to the rest of India, not the northern part of India where the river actually flows? So a lot of questions came to my mind. If you ask somebody in maybe in down in Tamil Nadu or somewhere, they will say, Ganga is a dirty river where you just kind of have dead bodies floating and stuff like that. I don't think they have much to offer. when it comes to Ganga. And if you ask a young person, the youth of India, they'll say, hell, man, it's a very dirty river. Please don't talk about it. I'm not very interested. So actually, Ganga had disappeared from not from India, but from the heart of Indians. So we had a purpose. We had to make this journey to make it happen. Make reinstate Ganga in our hearts. So that's how this journey started. And Shantanu, being the maverick uh, guy he is, he said, "I want to cycle all the way from Gomukh to Ganga Sagar." A lot of people said, "No, no, no, don't do it. It's too strenuous. It's absolutely uphill." But he was absolutely hell bent on doing that. And kudos to him that he could undertake such a journey, such a beautiful journey, such an awe-inspiring journey, and he completed it. Obviously, with a lot of effort from his team, the crew, his wife Sharuda, everybody as a ramrod straight support for him. So what happened is we started planning this journey. And as we went about, I also found a purpose in the entire thing. And I told Shantanu that I would want to paint as you go about. I would want to paint some kind of portraits or life around Ganga. And I was not talking about the normal boat reflection, mandir, and flags fluttering, sadhu babas. I was not going that way. I wanted to show the river for its human capital, not the geographical capital. I was looking at the human capital. I was looking at the people who make the river that it is. So Ganga is not just water, it's not silver, it is about so many people who thrive on both the banks and they make the river come alive. And that exactly was my purpose. So what I did was I started collecting Ganga ki mitti and Ganga water and Ganga flotsam. So it could be flotsam, it could be stuff from a temple or a mosque. I just collected stuff, even collected ash from these Havan Kund, and I kind of put them in mixers, grinders, and made it into fine powder, mixed it with the color so that the color was absolutely holding Ganga in its DNA. And then the color was used to paint. So I have essentially made figurative work, portraits, figurative work with animals, with birds, with fishes, with aquatic life, which keeps Ganga clicking. So I think that was the whole DNA of the painting that I did. And so even if you kind of close your eyes and actually touch the painting, you will find the texture of Ganga as you feel with your fingertips. So it's as simple as that. And Shantanu most graciously invited me to be part of this beautiful web series that you can see on Disney Hotstar. It's called Songs of the River, and I have a little part to play in it. And I'm so thankful that I'm a part of this epic journey. And we have concluded the journey, and the journey is over, but the effects remain in the entire crew's minds. And I treasure Ganga in my heart nowadays. I don't need to travel to a Varanasi or a Sasaram or Gomukh.
Oh my God, this was beautiful. I mean, I traveled with you because I was, towards the end of last year, in November, I was sitting in this really high cafe in Rishikesh, and it is one of the most surreal, experiences. And like you said, that I don't need to travel to go to Ganga. I have Ganga in my heart. But, I need to know a little bit more from you, Partho, about all the amazing people that you worked with. I mean, you've done things with Shantanu Moitro. You've also worked with Jug Suraya, one of my favorite writers. I mean, when I fell ill, it was Jug's writings that I kept reading to keep myself feeling alive, because I had this crazy autoimmune disorder. And I used to keep rereading Jug Suraya. And so tell me a little about that, and tell me about the other man that I completely crushed to death, Nasruddin Shah. Tell me all the work that you've done with both of them.
Yes, both of them, both of these guys, Jag and Nasir, both of them, such awesome people, such superhuman actually. And Jag Suraya, of course, needs no introduction. And I found him in TOI. and he would he would just sit there. He would come for 2 hours, write on piece of paper. So he would always put pen to paper. He would never type. Okay, he'd put pen to paper, and these brilliant satire would flow from his pen on paper. And I would just watch him write. I don't know how he would write all those things. So one day we just met, and I showed him some of my work. I had done a lot of cartooning work for Asian Age, Telegraph, while my growing up years, and I showed him the work. He liked it, and I was of course on cloud nine, literally. And a few months down the line, and he actually called me, said, "Listen, Partho, my partner Nilab is quitting. Why don't you moonlight with me?" I said, "Wow, couldn't be anything bigger than this, man. I would want to do it. I'd love to do it." And we started working together. We took out this political satire and current affair strip called Just in Case, JEST, Just in Case. And Just in Case was perhaps one of the most tweeted cartoons from the TOI stables that time. And Jag and me just loved doing it. And so much of mails, so many people started following. Indians across the globe started following, and it was a high. It was a different kind of a high because you are commenting on the socio-political setup of a country, and there are people who are either liking you or they are hating you, or because there was no midways. But fortunately for me, more likes there would be. So the biggest high in that was one of my friend, school friend, from his WhatsApp group retrieved one of my cartoons and sent it to me saying, "Listen, this is doing the rounds, like gone viral." And when I saw who has done it, I find that it is my school friend who has done this, and I really am so proud of you. And that really, really clicked to me. This little small things, but I really felt so good. And I thanked him. I said, "Listen, it has been ages. Let's meet up. Let's catch up." And these things actually start conversations, and I love conversations. And this is how this entire Just in Case journey unfolded. And I'm so thankful that it happened in my life. And I came to know uh, a superman called Jug Suraya, who just refuses to not laugh. And he makes us laugh, he makes us wonder, he makes us question. So he's awesome. And as we speak, as we record, yeah, as we record this, he is touring his favorite country, Italy, with his wife Bunny, and they are, as of now, having a great time out there. And thank you, Jug, if you are hearing this. Love you. So that was Jug Suraya. And like you asked Mahua about Naseeruddin Shah. Well, I've been a big fan of him, and like all of us, love his work, and absolutely in awe of him. What triggered this is when I was a kid and was in school. I think class 11 or 10, 11, most probably 11, and I think Par, his first film, was released, directed by none other than Gautam Ghosh, and it was a superlative performance. Okay, him and Shabana Azmi, and it was brilliant. Okay, and when I saw it, I was like absolutely taken, and I thought this man was like awesome. I don't know where he has come from, and those days were the days of absolute so-called the Hindi movies, where you have people like Jitendra and all that, people prancing around in a white pant and white shoes. And here was this guy who was very unfilmy and had a very unconventional look, and he could play a poor man and he could play a rich man in the same kind of breath, and but also look different. I've never seen Nasiruddin in his films. I've always seen the character he plays, and that got me thinking, we could actually collaborate, do something together. But of course, distant dream. Why would a Nasuddin Shah even listen to somebody called Partho? But what happened is I made a picture of him. After watching Par, I made a little sketch of him. And those days we had Filmfare, and uske piche used to have these addresses of these celebs, of these actors. and one could actually write to them. I'm talking of the days of pen pal and stuff, right? And I did the sketch and I sent it to the address, saying that I would want it back with your signature. And of course, I forgot about it. But in 20, 25 days' time, it actually came back to me with a signature, with a message from him. And I hit the cloud nine again, and it was so beautiful. I pranced around my entire neighborhood, showing every friend that, hey man, I've got a letter from Nasiruddin Shah. And so I was overjoyed. I was like, actually, I had no words. So, of course, again, I kept it packed somewhere. And of course, we forgot about the sketch. And after many years, my friend Vivek Agnihotri, he saw this sketch which I had posted on Facebook. And Vivek told me, listen, this is a brilliant sketch, and I happen to be going to meet Nasir right now. Nasir साहब से मेरी मुलाकात होने वाली, meeting होने वाली. Can I show it to him? I said, by all means, Vivek, I would owe it to you, man. And he went and showed it. And then Nasir Saab wrote back to me saying that, listen, I remember you. Let's connect, let's touch base. And then I think that was the start of it. And we connected back. And now we are planning a show where I will be talking about, or I will be doing art around him. Okay. It will be celebrating his life, his work, but through an interesting angle of books. Yeah, and I don't know how many of you know, but he has already got one of his books published, which is a fantastic account of his life, his work, his family, his bachpan. So please check it out. Check the book out. Beautiful book. And I am trying to work around that book and also the books that he read and he grew up with. So it will be a very interesting what to say, interesting chapter unfolding soon, inshallah. Matlab, it all depends on how things kind of roll out and how I can work around getting those paintings done. It's an uphill task, but I'm very hopeful. Fingers crossed, Mohua.
I'll need to be invited for this, Partho. I need to sit there and watch you do this.
Absolutely. I'll be more than happy.
Partho, I need to ask you something that's really I'm in awe and jaw-dropping. You actually worked, as a jury member for Project Roshni, an initiative by the President's Office to encourage creativity in underprivileged children. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, it was very interesting, Mohua. And yes, it was an eye-opener for me as well. I was not aware that kind of talent existed in our country. And that too at that level where we're talking of chota bachas in various government schools across the country. So I was invited for this occasion. It was an event that was happening at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. And it's called Project Roshni, and it was instituted by then President Mrs. Pratibha Patil. And under her tutelage, the entire thing came together. And there were more than 10,000 kids from across the country, and all from the government schools, the sponsored schools. And so they were not really well-to-do bachas, but they were really hungry when it came to talent, and they wanted to show off their work. So imagine looking at artworks from remote Kashmir or say remote Andhra, at the same venue. The artworks were all over the place, and we were like lost in the work of kids. Such imagination, such brilliant talent, and just to see it and imagine that these bachas, if they are fueled right, if they are mentored right by their teachers, they could go places. I'm so hopeful that these guys actually come up, and later on in my life I would see their work in a more serious format. So yes, it was an eye opener, and I'm grateful to the president and her office at that point of time. And I have been in touch with the Rashtrapati Bhavan and keep on doing this on and off, which of course always excites me. And I go to my bachpan, I kind of revisit my bachpan. It's so easy. It's so fun.
You've conducted art therapy workshops with corporates and universities. So how do you believe art can be used for therapeutic purposes, and what benefits can it have?
Mohua, I have felt that art is almost like music, right? Like we switch off the world when we switch on music. For me, I think same thing happens when you do art in a way that it can open this wonder doors, literally. And you go through the wonder door and you're in a wonderland completely. And if anything helps for the corporates or the people who are working, or students, even students who are under so much of stress nowadays, if they just are allowed a window of art where they are just selflessly working without the pressures of performance, so to speak, on their heads. You're not judged. You're not given those yardsticks. It's not a KRA. It's not an appraisal time. You just draw and you make mistakes. You scribble like Rabindranath Tagore used to. When he used to make a mistake, he would just scribble over it, and some other artwork would emanate from it. Some other beautiful creation would happen. So there is a lot of learning in those pages by Rabindranath Tagore. So I think the same goes. I think that's art therapy, isn't it? As in, when you are writing something and you go, most of us would mostly tear the page and say, "Hell, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm giving up." But that gentleman didn't. He just started scribbling on the writing, and that writing took a form of something, of a portrait of a man, a crying woman. Brilliant stuff. So there is a lot of learning there. I think that's exactly art therapy. And I would like to work with corporates. I would like to work with people who are going through stress, apprehensions about life, uncertainties about life, and tell them, listen, there is something that you can do without the pressures of performance. Please go ahead and do it. Relieve yourself, unburden yourself, unpack yourself. Let the world see that side of you as well. You could be the star, the next Hussein or anybody.
This is so unbelievably amazing, Partho. This has been one of the podcasts that I've enjoyed immensely because I've traveled with you. I would like you to tell our listeners, because with podcast listeners, there are so many young people who want to become artists, but they are frightened of what the future holds because there's so many artists now. And like you rightly said, that if you scroll down Instagram, there's art screaming at us every day, everywhere. What would you like to tell them that if they were to follow their passion, what would be that advice?
First of all, I would say everybody who's out there and would want to put a pen to the paper, go ahead and do it. Work relentlessly, but do something every day. That is important. And do without the burden of showing off or putting it up or getting likes. Likes you will get any which ways. Just work for yourself, like I said, for the man in the mirror, draw for him or her, and be happy, and just be happy. First, happiness should hit you. Then then something, everything will come in place. Everything will click in place. But once you're happy, it's very important for the artist to be happy. From sorrow to happy, that journey should happen, and that will be the showcase actually. So please draw every day. Put up your life in drawings. Don't be afraid. Go out and draw. Don't get, as I said, don't get drawn into Instagram, and don't look at people's style and get every day you will be revisiting your style. Then just be the man that you are, be the woman that you are, and make that individuality signature happen. Go out, draw from nature, draw from clouds, draw from rivers, and do whatever. And don't be bogged down by medium, watercolor. कुछ भी मिलता है ना हाथ पे, just draw, scribble. And I think later on, and save everything, please, guys. Save everything. Don't throw anything away. I have done that mistake, and I keep on, going back. I would love to see my art as I grew up. I would love to see that first peacock that I drew. So much of inspiration has gone from there in my life, but I don't have that piece of art. So sad. So I won't want you guys to be sad. I want you guys to hold on to everything that you do. Don't be apologetic. Don't unlove it. Just keep on loving that piece of work. Keep everything. Document it, and then you will see that your art, your work is showing you the way. Not LinkedIn, not Instagram. Nothing will show you the way. It's you who will show you the way. That's it.
Thank you, Partho. So before we end, I have this absolutely beautiful, famous Van Gogh quote about art. Art is to console those who are broken by life. If you truly love nature, you will find beauty everywhere. I try more and more to be myself, caring relatively little whether people approve or disapprove. Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things thought together, bought together.
Such an inspiration. Even when you look at his work, sometimes I thought, I'll start copying his work and, emulating him. But I never dared to. Because I think he owes it. Just be him and just watch him, his work, and kind of just feel good that he spent some time on Mother Earth and he gave us that incredible treasure of his work.
I have been introduced actually to the world of art by my father and my mother. My mother is a very good artist. So thank you so much, Partho, for being on today's podcast. This was heartfelt.
Fantastic.
To you, our dearest listeners, you can find us on your favorite streaming services, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and of course on all other major streaming services. With loads of love, we are the Mohua Show, where we talk ईमानदारी से.